Hey, I'm Julie Rose. Welcome to Love What You Love. I'm an author, creator, and enthusiast, and I've always been fascinated by the things that people are super into, because they're always a unique expression of curiosity and joy and wonder. So every week, I'll introduce you to another fascinating human who's into really interesting stuff. Welcome back, or welcome. A little bit of housekeeping up front. Episode transcripts, which are created by the fabulous Emily White, are now available for everyone on the Love What You Love website. They're all PDFs, and the files for all 16 episodes so far are linked there. If you ever have issues with downloading the transcripts, or if you have questions, or if you just want to say hi, you can email me at lovewhatyoulovepod@gmail.com. Okay, with that business out of the way, let's get on with the show. Ajeetha Gnanasambandan is an accomplished performer who is absolutely passionate about classical Indian dance, particularly Bharathanatyam, the oldest classical dance tradition in India, which dates to about the 2nd century CE. It was outlawed by the British in 1910, but the Indian independence movement in the early 20th century led to a renaissance of the dance form as a way to recover culture and to celebrate history. Ajeetha and I chat about $20,000 dance graduations, empathy and performance, dance as devotion, and so much more. So find out why Ajeetha loves classical Indian dance, and why you might learn to love it too. Hello, Ajeetha. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Julie. I'm so excited. I don't know whether I would do justice to this, but I'll try my very best.
Oh, I know you will. So we have known each other for a number of years now. I can't believe how much time has gone by. And one of the things I really know about you is anytime there's something going on at work that involves getting people together, you love to perform and you love to dance. And I want to understand more about that. Like, where did that come from? What kind of dance styles do you perform? Like, what is that impulse? Why do you love to perform and to dance?
Well, I feel that's the form of a human form which can express love to the fullest or joy to the fullest. Because from the whole body, right? The whole body, your eyes, your hands, the whole body is expressing joy. That I really, really feel it when I dance. When did I start learning dance? Was, I think, when I was like maybe like 6 years old. I'm not very sure. Much younger than that, I feel. I'm not sure. But then it was such a coincidence that my neighbor, she was joining a dance class, and she came by to my mom and she said, I'm joining this dance class and you want to send one of your daughters or all your daughters to dance. And at that time, I was there in the room. Both my sisters were not there. So my mother was like, do you want to dance? And I'm like, yeah, I don't mind. So I just tagged along with this girl and I went to this dance school. It's as though it just happened yesterday. I still remember that. Very simple house, like a street house. And they were teaching this traditional Indian dance called Bharathanatyam. And it's very popular in the state I come from, Tamil Nadu. In India, there are different states, right? And there are about 6 states whose dance form is very popular. Tamil Nadu's popular dance form is called Bharathanatyam. So that's when I got introduced to dance. And I didn't realize that it's something that will be part of my life, throughout my life, even now. And I know it will continue forever with me, as long as my physical self would allow, I just enjoy to the core when I listen to a music which has the dance beat and I start dancing. It started there, and then as my dad was moving to other homes, it so happened that there would be a dance school close by, which is not very common, but it so happened that there would be a dance school and same dance form also that I continued learning for a long time. Yeah.
And so when you were going to these dance schools, were there like dance recitals? Like, what were your opportunities to perform when you were young?
Well, this dance form takes a while for you to learn and then perform. So for quite some time, you don't get to perform because they do have a syllabus. And here, especially in US, it takes 10 years for kids to learn this dance form and then perform. But in India, because, we used to go quite often, here they go only on once a week, they go to dance school. And that's how it is most of the dance schools here. Whereas in India, we used to go twice a week, and it made a huge difference. So but still to get to that perfection and to get that expression, some of the songs are based off emotions that you have to emote, right? And for that, you need to get to that age where you can show those emotions easily. And then the steps are so heavy, and there is a syllabus that you go through where there are about 14 sets of steps, and each set by itself would have like on an average 5 to 8 steps, different steps. And so it takes a while for your body to get that dance form in the perfect position that you've got to do, the position of your legs and your hands, the firmness that the body needs. So not everyone would like this dance form because of the how tedious and painful the legs can get into, right? And it is not something which is very much welcomed by everyone because it's traditional dance form. It's not like Bollywood where it's like a jolly dance and people enjoy it, right? This dance form is more for God that you do. Most of the songs are about God and each of the gods and what each of the god represents. Is what most of the dance songs are on. So it's not very, very popular for general public, but then there are traditional people who not only cherish it, but they feel it's a divine form, right? They feel so serene when they come and sit there and watch it with so much of honor and respect that they watch a dance form as though a god or goddess has come to dance for them.
Now, do you feel serene when you're dancing, or do you feel kind of that range of emotions that you were talking about before? Like where do you go in your head or in your spirit when you're dancing?
Yeah, when I do the dance, I totally become that person, right? So if I represent, say, goddess Durga, or there are so many different gods, right? And obviously the lyrics would also have a meaning to it, right? So I become that person. Otherwise, I would not be able to do justice to the dance, right? And I was lucky to be taught by the national dancer of India.
Wow.
She was national dancer for quite some time, I guess. But when she taught me, she was very young and she did not know that she'll become a national dancer, right? And so I was so very lucky because there were a bunch of kids we were dancing, and she was taught by the guru who was like a founder of the dance school, but he used to come occasionally. He used to visit, and then one particular day he was there and she walked in and she said, "Oh, I would like to teach dance for these kids because I moved here and I just want a group of kids that I can teach." Right. And so I was so lucky that the then dance teacher, he just picked me and he said, "Okay, you can take her." So 6 of us, so 6 of us go to her, and I started enjoying the dance like million times more because the way she taught, the passion she had, and the perfection she wanted us to get. And I'm so lucky to have got her, because I could see that I love this dance form. I would wait to go to dance class, whereas other kids would be like, "Oh, I have to go to dance class because my mom wants me to do." And when I was like in 9th grade or so, when I became a little bigger, right, she didn't want me to dance. She felt like we are more a conservative family. So she felt like, "Oh, on stage, you're going to dance in front of all these guys." And I used to fight that I want to continue dance,
And how old is this dance form?
Oh, there's people say it's like thousands of years. We really don't know. But how it started was Devadasis, they are called. Devadasis means the entertainment in those days, like let's assume 1,000 years, right? Let's assume at those times the entertainment they had was in the temple where the community would meet. And those days they used to have like stories about God. There are two great epics in India, which is Mahabharata and Ramayana. And there would be stories about that, and Mahabharata and Ramayana has all short stories within it also. So the entertainment was people would come and sit down, and there would be this well-educated priest or scholar who would come and sit down, and he would tell those stories. And then the music would have accompanied, I guess, and then this dance form where most of the dances would be on those stories. And so the Devadasis were a group of women in each of these temples. They would go and dance. And and if you see some of we call it the mudras, where there's some kind of a posture or pose that you show. And most of the postures or pose would be similar to the sculptures that you see in the temple. And the sculptures would be sculptures of God in the temple. Like if you had seen any of the Indian temples here, it'll be a huge temple with a lot of carvings in the temple, right? Each of our gods would have an animal that represents them, and they would use that animal like a pet for them, and they would go around in that animal. For instance, there is one god, Muruga, and he used to travel sitting on a peacock. Durga, she represents killing evil, so she would be on a lion. And then they would have weapons, and most of the gods' stories would be about how they kill evil men or women, or right, something evil which is happening. They are born in a human form, and they would kill that evil being. So most of the stories would be like that. And so the postures that we give would be with that kind of a weapon that we'll show, or the animal that we'll show, and they sit on that animal. So the Devadasis, where that was their life, they would go perform, and the kings and the queens and the lords, whoever, they would gift them with something. So that's how this dance form evolved. And now it is very, very popular in Tamil Nadu and in whole of India too, because this is one of the oldest dance forms in India that they want to maintain its richness, and also because it is associated with the gods, right? The Hindu gods, that the parents would want the kids to learn this. And also, apart from the dance, like, and you imbibe something and you represent a god and you dance, you convey a lot of good message to people, right? You tell the stories of Hinduism, and it's overall about good over evil. So I feel like it has a message too that you convey. It's not just for entertainment. And of course, it is such a physically, keeps you really fit, not only physically, mentally too. I don't know whether you've seen certain dances of this, like there are heavy steps and very fast beats, and you have to keep up with that from your head to the toe, your hands, your eyes, expressions, the neck movement. And I feel it's such a wonderful exercise for your brain too, because it has to keep itself coordinated with the music.
And you must be like very serene once you're done, because that must be quite a physical, mental, emotional workout.
It's beautiful. Once you go on stage and the music starts and you're performing, I feel like I'm a different person there, right? Because I'm not anymore Ajeetha there. I am a goddess, meaning any movement of my body is totally like a goddess. And yes, of course, after the dance, you literally feel like you are God, and after you complete it, you become Ajeetha again, Mm-hmm. You really would feel that way if you're really cherishing and you're performing to its truest form. That's how you would feel. And of course, after you complete doing it, especially if it's a heavy piece step oriented dance item, then you really feel, thank God I got it done.
So a couple of questions. When did you come to the U.S.? And then when you did you continue to dance when you got here?
See, what happened, my mom didn't want me to continue dance. So, unfortunately, I had to quit. The way this dance form goes is like once you complete learning it, before you complete, like you kind of get a graduation on it, they make you dance small items here and there. And then the teacher would say, okay, you are now come to a level where you can do your debut dance, like a solo dance. That is very, very grand, meaning it's like a graduation, like you've learned this dance form, you completed it, right? And so it's like I won't call it an exam, but it's more so of showing the world that you have got it and you're doing a solo performance. So it is very expensive also sometimes, because you have to find an auditorium, you have to pay for the musicians because of the live music, and then your costumes, and it can be very expensive. Some of the dance teachers, they charge a lot too. So I didn't get to that level. Before that, they have something, it's called a Sadangai Puja. Sadangai means anklet, and you do a puja to it because you have a huge anklet around your ankle, which creates that sound, which aligns with the music as well. I did that Sadangai Puja, which is exactly the same items that you would have done in Arangetram, which is called like the solo debut performance that you do in front of the whole audience. Here, you just call few people, like your family members and your dance students, of course. And it's more so maybe like 75 people. That's it. So I just did that. And then after that, my mom didn't allow me to perform or anything, so I had to quit dance. And then in college, because it was a women's college, the first year of the college, they made us perform something as juniors, and then they recognized me that I could dance, and then I got a lot of opportunities to dance. And my mom said, okay, it's because it's women's college, that's fine, you can. I was a dance president for 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
I used to win in all the competitions. Yeah, I cherish. And then when I came to US, then I got married. And then after coming out of college, I really didn't have any opportunity. I got married. And then my daughter was born, just came to US. Oh, yeah, I got an opportunity to dance in Singapore TV, television.
What? Really?
Then I don't know how this connection happened. Someone asked me, do you want to dance? And I'm like, yeah, I can. I think my neighbor or someone. So for one of the Indian festivals, I went to the television studio and I danced. And then I came to US. By then my daughter was ready to start learning dance. So I went there and I used to sit with the teacher and help her teach the rest of the kids. So I did that for like 10 years. And whenever she has a production, I would perform with her a little bit here and there. Not much, because I started to have some knee problems. Because this dance form, if you don't do it properly, or if you leave a gap and you do, by then you put on a lot of weight, which I did after my daughter was born. I was pretty heavy, and I think that would have, impacted my knees, I guess. Then I started my own dance school because I lost some weight. I had a lot of time. My daughter was almost going to college, so I had so much time on hand. So I started my own dance school. I had like 20 kids. They learned till high school kind of level of dance from me. But since I discontinued my dance long ago, when they came to a level where I could not support that, I gave them to another dance teacher. And actually the dance teacher was very happy, because all the getting the actual form and the steps, that would take a lot of time. Once they get all those things, then the rest of the items can be taught.
Being in the Bay Area, was there more of a chance to find students for this particular form of dance?
You would not believe Indians are all over US, I think, and and especially where it's IT prone city, somewhere you see a lot of Indians, right? And so even here, so many people have asked me, why don't you start a dance class? It's very high demand. It has its perfection that I'm not up there yet because I quit that dance form for a long time, right? Now, if you see some of the teachers, just amazing. The choreography and the creations are so beautiful that I feel like I would not do justice the way this dance form. So I would say, no, why don't you go to this teacher or that? But the teachers cannot take more students. Is so much, especially in Bay Area, because I have my full-time job too, and weekends, I do not want to teach for money. It's more so the passion that I have. So I would make sure that the perfection is there for the kids. The kids start at the age of 5.5 or 6 because the parents are like, oh, I don't want to lose out on this. When the kids come around that age, it won't be fun for the kids if I just say, come on, sit. And it's not a very easy dance posture that you maintain that the kids won't enjoy it, right? So I'll make it like a 1.5 to 2 hours class, and I'll play with them. I will sing with them and make them more of a fun experience for them and teach them. So I taught for like maybe 6 to 7 years. I was teaching them, and we had a real good time with my kids. I love kids. So I really cherish those moments. Sometimes I would think maybe I should start one and have a deal with a senior teacher saying that I could teach till this level and then you can take the kids.
I'm curious too about the dance styles. So you mentioned some of the teachers do choreography. So it's kind of like you learn this syllabus and then different teachers or choreographers can interpret it in new ways. Is that right?
Yes. You know, it's such a wonder that we have like 2 hands and 2 legs, but the variations that it can do is just mind blowing. Really, some of the choreography, it's like, wow, it's so beautiful. And of course, it's along with the music, and the music also is evolving as we are talking. Most of them, even now, they are about God and, life of God and whatever. But then I think there are certain other songs that they are trying where they want to make it more contemporary to the stories which are happening now, the real time life, what's happening, and relate to it and compose some lyrics out of it. So I think the music, the lyrics, dance, everything is evolving, and the makeup. And for this particular dance, there is a particular costume that you wear and the jewelry that you wear. And it's because you are representing a goddess in most of the songs. And the Indian Hindu goddess, they wear a lot of jewelry, and the richness of God shows up in that, right? The abundance. So that has evolved as well. And now there is a fusion dance where you have this Bharathanatyam, which is a traditional dance, has a fusion with Bollywood, with Western music. Creativity can go to different heights that you would not even imagine. So yeah, it has evolved a lot.
Yeah. I know when I've seen you perform, it seems like it was Bollywood dance.
Yes.
So is that really
Yes.
more of what you do now for fun?
Yes, because Bharatanatyam, I'm still working on my knees. Like I'm trying to get my hamstrings and calf muscles strengthened so that it's not so much on my knees. But I do have a goal. I want to get back to my traditional Indian dance to do like a heavy piece called Tillana, which has a lot of steps in it. Very intricate, very too much on your knees it would be, but I'm hoping I'll get there one day. But in the meantime, yes, Bollywood is also a very, very jolly music dance. Anyone would cherish it. Anyone would enjoy that music. I'm not very good in choreographing Bollywood. Rather, the traditional dance to some extent I could choreograph because I'd been drenched in it when I was from my young age. But Bollywood is, if you take one dance beat song, Bollywood song, just released, say, today, within a matter of week, there'll be hundreds of choreography on YouTube. So I would copy from them and I would just perform.
So I'm just really interested to know, when you're doing your traditional dance versus your Bollywood dance, how are you feeling different? Like what's going on inside of you during those two dances?
A true dancer would become what they are in the dance, right? When it's a traditional dance, there is so much of respect to the art form, and it's very auspicious when you do that traditional dance form and you get into that space. I think it's a music, because I'm so very familiar with the temples. I've been to the temple, and when you get into a temple, you get into a different frequency within you, right? Something serene happens in you. Like even when I go to a church, I feel that way. Similarly, when you do a traditional form, it's totally you get into that mode, and I think it's also the posture and the positioning of the steps that you do gets you into that space easily as well. Whereas Bollywood is more so, some of the dances are extremely opposite, where this girl is like, I'm so pretty and see I am, right? Like, and you're trying to attract someone, I'm going for shopping, why don't you come along with me, and things like that. So that's a jolly kind of dance, and it's for a lighter crowd, for entertainment and fun. Whereas in the traditional dance, it's not fun as such, but it gives a different ambience to the people who are watching that.
You mentioned your daughter performed. Does she still perform, or did she kind of move on to other things?
Well, she got a chance to do the solo performance. So she got trained for almost 7 to 8 years here. And then she was lucky because her dance teacher in Bay Area was going to India. And she said, if you want, Sindhu can. By then, Sindhu was ready for her Arangetram. And Arangetram is a big deal when you get into this dance form. That's how you feel complete and you've achieved something. So she asked whether Sindhu would like to do, and I could not afford to have an Arangetram here in Bay Area because it's very expensive, auditorium and coordinating and all that. So I was almost, Sindhu also, my daughter also felt like it's not worth it. It's okay, Ma, I learned the dance form and I can use it for any performances. But then since her teacher said we can go to India, that was even better and ideal for us because all our relatives are there. And so she got to do a very authentic dance there. We invited the then national dancer of India, who was not the same person who taught me. She had come as a chief guest for her performance. Yeah, and Sindhu was very lucky. And Sindhu did a fantastic job too because her teacher was also a perfectionist. So she taught her really well. Now she's very busy with work, but she and we are thinking of just coming up with a YouTube performance sometime soon.
Yes, do that. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
What does this traditional dance form, it sounds like, well, does it turn you into a perfectionist, or do you have to already be a perfectionist to get into it?
I feel that dance is something which can maybe, I would not say it's as much as singing, where singing you need to have that voice, right? You can try to practice a lot and try getting some movements, but for some people it comes so easily. And for me, I would say I got it very easily. So I think it was inborn in me, I would say, like the expressions. The expressions is another major thing. In this traditional dance form, there are 3 facets. The first one would be the steps that you do, because the beat, every time you hit your feet, the different variations, combinations, and they need to align with the music. And the music can be very fast, and you have to align with that. And there are different sets of steps that you can do. That is one facet, like the steps. And then the second one is mudra. So the first one is called jati, where there's a lot of steps. And then the mudras are the postures that you show with your hands and your legs and the whole body to represent any god or goddess. And the third one is your expression. It's so heavy on expressions because most of the time the audience get attracted to the face. You watch the expression of the person and the rest of the things are complementary. Your hands and legs are complementary. All put together, you feel like, okay, it's a good dance. So when you see a solo performance, because if it's a group of people, it's more of a synchronization, like they sing together for your eyes to see, right? But when you see a solo performance, it's more so their expression. And so we give a lot of importance of showing emotions, expressions, and that is something which has to come naturally. And I feel you need to have a lot of empathy within you to become a traditional Bharatanatyam dancer. That's when you can emote those feelings. You cannot try to act emotion. You have to feel that emotion, acting, it'll show that you're acting and then you lose it there. That's it. Your audience is like, oh, she's acting, and
she's faking it.
Yeah. And the beauty of the song and everything loses its authenticity right there.
So has there been anything in this journey that has been surprising to you, either about the dance itself or maybe things you've learned about yourself? Has anything been surprising for you?
I would not say surprising. I would rather, what I feel is this dance form is so beautiful. At the same time, when they do like a solo performance and it will be for 1.5 hours that you perform.
Oh my God.
So yeah, and it'll be like you do 7 items. You do 4 items, one after the other, and then there is a break, and then you do the other 3 items. The 4th item that you do would be for half an hour. And that half an hour dance would be so, like you should have gained that stamina to dance it, because it does have expressions like you're telling a story, narrating something where it's not too much on your body, but then there are jatis, there are heavy steps that you're doing in between that can tire you up. How can we make it, because it's always a repetition of the same stories like Ramayana, Mahabharata. It's so the audience would already know the story that you're going to express in that song, right? So I'm thinking it will be nice to, and as I said, there are variations, they are evolving, they are coming up with other things, but how can we make it more so attractive for the general public? And we may have to give in here and there, especially because it has its own strict rules as to this is how you got to do and this. That's why this fusion all is coming in place right now. Yeah, that is something which I think there is areas that the teachers who put in a lot of time and effort and the lyricist and the musicians can think about as to how they can give a different variation, a huge variation that could attract the general public too. General public, don't get me wrong, because they would get attracted for sure, because the costume is so rich and you're performing, and why all these parents want the girls to learn is because there is beauty in it. But then to watch for like 1.5 hours, rather come up with some story which has some message to convey at the same time, some entertainment and totally different story that keeps audience engaged.
So if someone listening to this podcast, 2 things. One, if they wanted to learn more about it or attend a performance, where would they go? And then 2, if they wanted to learn it themselves, where would they go? Oh,
obviously learning by themselves. YouTube has the steps I was talking about, which takes 2 years to learn all the steps. There are 14 sets of steps, and each set by itself would have like variation of average 5 to 7, I would say, steps in it. And so to learn that itself, though you can memorize in your head, but your body to get it, it would take time. So there are YouTube links. When I was teaching my kids, I used to look at that YouTube link for the different steps. So that's one. YouTube has tons and tons and tons of Bharatanatyam videos, different beautiful ones. Once you sit in it, especially a person like me who has for dance, you can go for hours watching the dance. Yeah. And to go in person and learn would be the best, I would say, because it's not just the discipline that you need. It's also the joy that you get by going in person and learning with the teacher as well as other students. There are a lot of dance schools in Bay Area. You can just enter Bharathanatyam classes, Google it. There would be so many classes that come up. Pretty popular teachers are there in Bay Area. It's very difficult to get into the class. There's like waiting list, but I'm sure there are a lot of small schools are there trying to get recognition. And now I think they've come to a point where all the kids who have learned, they are starting dance schools too.
So would you say, like, if I wanted to go see one of these performances in person, outside of the context of, you giving your final performance as graduation, like, are there festivals? Are there places where people can go just to see this dance in person?
Oh, definitely. So, the best place to go and get to understand what I'm talking about, because I said like 10 years it takes, it's strenuous workout and practice and commitment and conviction to get to that space, right? It'll be wonderful for people who are interested to go to any of the Arangetram, it's called, the solo performance that the first time that the student does. It's free. And it is done so very beautifully that it's so amazing. When you sit in that auditorium, you never know that you are in some other place other than India, because it's done with such authenticity, realistic, the decorations that they do and the way they welcome, and you're sitting there and the music is so soothing to your ears, and the girls perform amazingly perfect. So and all this, and you would find like if you go to an Indian store, there would be the Indian magazines which are free that you can get, and in these magazines they advertise the Arangetrams that are performed by the students from different dance schools. It is free, and nowadays they make it like a huge grand festival where they also provide food free. And you would not believe, like they spend around $25,000 for this performance. I am not bluffing. 25,000.
Oh my God.
They would have in the break, they would have a snack, and then after the performance, they have dinner for everyone. And there would be around 400 and maybe 400, 500 people who come, because all this, like, the dance teachers, they would have like 100 students. Okay. Each teacher has 100 students, and 100 students bringing their family, and then your own relatives coming over. And yeah, so you can go for such performances, as well as these dance schools have productions of their own, annual productions, and they are also amazing because it's more so like the whole dance, not all the students, but the senior students would perform. It'll be like a dance drama, very well done by some of the dance schools. So that would also definitely be advertised in the magazines because it's ticketed.
And I'm real curious. I mean, it seems obvious, but performing and being involved in these dances when you come here to the U.S., that is a direct connection back to India, back to traditions. Is dance like a big part of the culture of Indian Americans?
It depends. I think people, especially coming from India, some parents feel, we should not lose our culture, our tradition. And so they bring the kids to dance. But then there are people who think, we have moved here, so let's be a Roman in Rome. And they put kids in, ballet or Western music. I don't know how it's going to evolve because I do see when the first generation comes from India, they miss India so much, right? That they want the kids to learn, and they get the fear of, would my kid become more westernized? So let her go learn all these things, because especially with these dance forms are more towards inculcating the religion also in them. So the first generation moving from India, they do that. But then as the kids grow here and, the second generation, third generation, how it's going to evolve is, I'm not sure.
What do you personally get out of performing, and what questions does it answer for you?
The joy that you get. I don't know whether, I cherish music. The only way I can show joy of enjoying this life, the ultimate way of enjoying life is by dancing. That's how right? Each person is different. Sometimes someone can just be silent and just be in bliss. Right? You can be that way too. But the way dance allows you to express joy, it's nothing like that. And to be frank, I don't know whether the audience who watch my dance, they enjoy or not. They seem to enjoy because they come and tell me, oh, you did a good job. And this, I don't know whether they would enjoy as much as I do when I dance. Because it's beautiful. Like when the music is there and you're just in your high spirits dancing, it's something that I feel like everyone should experience.
It's transcendent for you.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for taking time to chat with me and telling me all about this and educating me about this. This has been, you're just a joy anyway, so.
Thank you, Julie. I'm not sure how many people are going to listen to it and what they're going to get out of it, but if instills some curiosity in them, I would definitely request them to watch certain videos. I'll send you some videos of this dance form, because if they are not exposed to a dance form like this, Bharathanatyam, it's something good for them to get exposed to know there is a dance form like this. It's beautiful.
She's right. It is so, so beautiful. Links to videos of Bharathanatyam performances, including Ajeetha with her daughter Sindhu, are included in the show notes. And I have to tell you, when Ajeetha sent these links to me, it sent me down a glorious 2-day Bharathanatyam YouTube rabbit hole, and I am not mad about it. It was so great. Just a reminder that you can find the podcast on Instagram at LoveWhatYouLovePod, on Twitter at WhatYouLovePod, and the website is lovewhatyoulovepod.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, leaving a rating or review on Apple Podcasts, even if that's not where you listen, is a great way to do that. As always, Zeke Rodriguez-Thomas at MindJam Media provided amazing editing assistance. You can find Zeke at mindjammedia.com. So, as always, be good to yourselves and be good to each other and love the hell out of whatever it is that you love. Thanks for listening. Let's hang out again soon.
There's some good in this world, Mr. Fertile. And it's worth fighting for.